Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Sri Bagavath, you want to begin?
I just begin. I'll tell you some few words. We have already seen the.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Shall I proceed?
Yes, yes.
Okay. We have already seen the inner psychological world. That is the happening part. All the emotions, thought happens on its own. We have not created any emotion. We have not created any thought. It happens on its own. That is the inner and psychological world. In the externally, we have many work, many duties. For that, we have to attend our duty, attend our work consciously, willfully, and deliberately. So that is the external world, the physical world. In the psychological world, mostly everything happens on its own. According to the circumstances, according to the state we are facing, some natural emotion happens on its own, natural thought happens on its own. That is in the psychological world. So in the psychological world, every happenings, every occurrences is moment by moment new. There cannot be any old. It may be similar to the earlier experiences, similar to the earlier emotions, but at the same time, each and every moment, it is new. It is original. It is natural. The circumstances, according to the situation, take some thought in our hand and work, we plan, we think a lot, we decide, and we carry on our work in the external world. So here we invent or we observe some flowing nature. So the flowing nature is very essential. If the flowing nature is there, we can make everything new. We can keep everything alive and natural and new. So the flowing nature is very much important. And it is described in all religion, all spiritual world. It is in the name of liberation, freedom. It is described like that. So the flowing nature is described as liberation or freedom. So what is the nature of this freedom? What is this nature of this liberation? What is this nature of flowing? Where it happens, whether it is in the psychological or the inner world, or it relates to the external physical world. What is the actual status of liberation? What is the actual state of flowing? Whether it belongs to the psychological world or the inner world, or it belongs to the physical and external world. And what is the nature of flowing? What is the nature of liberation? What is the nature of freedom? On this line, we can discuss today. And Lani, you can summarize all those things in your language.
Thank you, Sri Bagavath. אז שרי בגבת מציג שוב את התפיסה שלו לגבי מהו שחרור, מה זה הערה. והבוקר הוא רוצה שנדון בטבע הזורם, בזרימה של התודעה. האם הזרימה הזאת היא עניין פנימי, הזרימה של התודעה מרגע לרגע, או היא קשורה לעולם החיצוני, והוא מבקש את ההשקפה שלנו, לתת את הדעת על העניין הזה. פסגת השאיפה הרוחנית של האדם מוגדרת הרבה פעמים כשחרור. ועל פי שרי בגבת, השחרור הזה, זוהי בדיוק הזרימה של התודעה מרגע לרגע. הזרימה הבלתי מופרעת של התודעה מרגע לרגע. וכאן שרי בגבת מזמין אותנו, כל אחד להביע את הראייה שלו, את ההשקפה שלו, התובנה שלו לגבי האם הזרימה הזאת היא פנימית בלבד, או האם היא קשורה גם לעולם החיצוני. וזהו, זה הזמן שלנו לשאול או לשתף, לומר את מה שיש לנו להגיד בקו הזה של המחשבה. אז מי שרוצה לדבר,
כן, אני.
כן, יכול לפתוח ולדבר.
כן, אני.
מי רוצה?
אני.
רוני, כן.
אני. ריטה.
ריטה, קדימה.
כן. כשאני במצב לא מאוזן, ואני רוצה להגיע באמת למקום טוב, אז אני כל הזמן חושבת חיובי ואני באופטימיות. זה מה שמחזיק אותי, שאני כל הזמן באופטימיות וחושבת חיובי. זה המוטו שלי לחיים, בוא נגיד. זהו.
זהו, אוקיי. אז אני אתרגם את מה שאמרת לשרי בגבת.
תודה.
So Rita is saying that for her the most important thing, the thing that keeps her balanced is to have an optimistic view on life and always have positive thinking and positive thoughts about what is happening. And when she's out of balance, she is bringing herself to balance again by positive thinking and having an optimistic view on life. Did you understand, Sri Bagavath?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. If anybody wants to share their idea, they may share, and afterwards I will say a few words.
אוקיי. אז שרי בגבת מציע שקודם כולם ידברו, ואז הוא יאסוף את ההשקפות לכדי שיחה. כן, רוני.
I can say that in my life, what happened all my life, I became very positive and look at all the things that happened to me in the positive way, and I see the full glass of water and not what is empty and everything. But no, it's not enough, because I was living a lot of time with the past. And the meditation, and especially what we are doing with you and Lanier, I feel that every day I am growing. It's like every day I'm cleaning the inside of me, And it helps me to accept things that happen, even if they are very bad. I accept them because I understand they will pass. And I live the moment, and I feel better this way. I hope I said not too much, but that's the principal thing in my life now. I'm very happy to do the meditation and to feel that I can be free in the inside of myself. Like 2 weeks ago, something very, very sad happened. I was sad for one day. And the second day I said to myself, it's not in my hand. I cannot do anything about it. It's not my decision what will happen, if it will go right or left. And I felt like I was cleaning myself in thinking about it. And I think this is the best of the inside of me. And I hope you can explain and tell me if it is all right what I'm doing. Bye.
Bye.
תודה רבה. אם יש עוד מישהו שרוצה לומר משהו?
אני מרגישה בדיוק כמוה, היא ביטאה ממש את מה שאני חושבת ומרגישה. לגבי ריטה, לפי הדברים שלה, אני מבינה שהיא חושבת שהעולם החיצוני משפיע על הפנימי. כי היא ניצלה את הדברים שלמדה שצריכים לחשוב חיובי, וזה עוזר לה. זהו.
Thank you, Rina. I'll just say what you said in English. אני פשוט אגיד את מה שאמרת באנגלית, ששרי בגבת יוכל להבין. So Irina is saying that she completely agrees with Ronit, with what Ronit said. And, about what Rita said, she said that in her view, Rita is actually saying that the outside world is influencing the inner world. So that's it.
תודה.
Can I say something?
Yes, in English.
Yes. Okay. I would like to say that there's definitely a connection between the inner world and the external world, especially if it contacts your personal life. Like you have a lot of איך אומרים, חוסר שליטה. You can do a lot of things in the outer world that belongs to wars and the political situations and the COVID-19. So this is easy. But when the problem is that something that you think that you may help do something, then it influences your inter world, and sometimes it leaves a lot of pain in it because you're thinking what I can do, because you do have control, because it connected your personal family, and the decisions are sometimes so difficult to make. Maybe you have the answer to the question how you make the decision, because each decision is bad. I mean, for me, for my personal problem now, that we are, as I said last week, we are in the third period of our life. We're becoming older. We are in pension. We have no more duties as we used to have. I was thinking all the time that it is going to be the best part of my life. And I was very disappointed to discover that is not. I worked so hard and I make a lot of decisions through my life that were very easy for me. I usually, it's easy for me to make decisions in the outer world that belongs to other people. And now I find myself with no answers. And so I really think that the outward is very, very connected to my psychology situation. And of course, there are good days and bad days, but sometimes I feel that I'm like a ship or a boat that going on the waves, and sometimes the waves are high, sometimes they are low, but it's not my reason. So how do I solve this problem? How do you make decisions?
I would also like to make a comment. I feel sometimes that the inner world and the outer world, they're only a kind of a point of view. Sometimes something that looks like an outer world situation is actually an inner world, something in my inner world. I'm looking at the outer from my inner, and vice versa. Sometimes the inner world is actually, I can see it as something that is like, it's not happening in the outer world, but it is like something that it doesn't belong to me. Like it's just my programming. So inner and outer are very confusing. Are not very, sometimes the outer is actually inner, and the inner can be just a program which is outer. So it's could be very, very confusing to separate between the two.
Anybody else wants to share their idea?
Lanir?
Hi, Galitush.
Hi. I want to say something also. Sometimes I get this deep emotional reaction, like in a volume, a very strong emotional reaction. And when it comes, it's like, you know, it's the same issue that comes again and again and again. And wait. Many times in my spiritual path, because it happened that I don't deal with the issue anymore, I think that the issue is gone. That's it. I finished with it. I went through a very long process and the issue is gone. And then, surprisingly, it appears again in a very strong volume. And when it happens, the thought that comes to my mind is like, hey, I didn't finish with it. And it comes again and again and again because I didn't deal deep enough with the roots that are from my childhood. I didn't deal with it enough. I didn't finish with it. I didn't go to the deepest roots of the issue. And that's why it returned again and again. And I have the thought that maybe I should go to therapy again. Maybe there is something that I didn't touch deep down. Maybe I didn't get to my deepest roots. It's like I have the idea that I could prevent the return of the suffer, of the pain, of the wound from my childhood. The thought that if I would deal with it more deep or more in a more correct way, it wouldn't return. And it returned in my outer world because of my inner world, but I could do something with my inner world, like go to a therapy or something. That the spiritual path is not enough. It's not enough just to accept and that's this. You have to deal with it. You have to go to deep therapy to realize what happened in your childhood that make it happen again and again and again in your life today. I mean, and what is happening again and again is, of course, the emotional reaction. But there always that thought that I could do something, because, you know, it happened again and again because I don't deal with the issue deep enough. You understand? I explained it.
Oh, okay, okay.
הסברת את זה מאוד יפה.
Okay.
Anybody else wants to share their idea? And if so, now I am sharing my idea on this point of view. So here, what we are going to see, the first thing is that the psychological world and the physical world. In the psychological world, many things happens. Moment by moment, some emotion, thoughts, feeling, something happens frequently, continuously on its own. We have no control over it. That without our knowledge, without our intention, many things happens one by one. But in the second part, we adopt some emotion, some thought for our external use, external action. For example, if we do some meditation or anything, some good emotion comes, good feeling comes. So if anything comes, what we are naturally do is that we want to keep some good emotion permanently with us. Actually, that is the real problem. So whatever comes must go. So that is the rule of liberation. That is the rule of freedom. Whatever comes, that has to go. In what way it appears, that way it has to disappear. Then only it is normal, then only it is natural, then only it is healthy. So if you want to catch hold of any emotion in the name of good thing or in the interesting thing, then only the problem starts. So here in the psychological world, everything must be momentary. For example, we may have some pain, psychological pain or anything. It comes and goes naturally. For example, we have some fear in our mind. We can take the fear and we can make use of the fear to the external world according to the situation. For the time being, it may give some energy for our action. Good emotion, bad emotion, everything, we can make use of that. But such use must be also in a momentary way. We should not keep anything. We can take and use. Moment by moment, we can make anything we can take, and in the next moment we have to give up. So taking and giving up must be natural, and it must be as early as possible. If you try to capture anything, if we try to keep hold of anything, whether it may be a good thing or bad thing, whether it may be a good emotion or bad emotion, the keeping hold of something alone is the problem. So anything we can take and we can make use of that emotion. But the next moment, we have to be free from the emotion, free from the thought or anything. So we have to keep on in the flow. The flowing nature is very much necessary. But in the psychological world, the flowing nature is natural. We need not make it flow. It is already in the flowing nature. Our support is not necessary in the psychological world, in the happening world. Everything happens moment by moment. But only in the physical world alone, in the second part alone, we try to capture something. We like to keep holding of something in the name of good thing or in the name of some enjoyment or anything interesting or anything. We try to keep something with ourselves. We can have a permanent action. Action may be permanent. But before enter into some action, some emotion is required. Some feeling is required. And the feeling and emotion comes from the first part. And in the second part, we make use of that. But in the second part itself, as we have to take any emotion or any thought as an energy, then only we can have some energy to act in the external world. For that, we can make use of anything. But in the next moment itself, we have to free from the energy, free from the emotion, free from the thought. So in the second part has to, even though it has to continuously work in the external world, it has to free from the psychological clutches of keeping any emotion or thought with ourselves. So then only the freedom will happen. The liberation will happen. In the first part, it is the liberation and emotion is already there. The freedom is already there. In the second part alone, we feel some stagnation. We feel some weight. So we feel we are caught hold of something. We are captured by something. So we have to understand that in the second part itself, we have to make ourselves free moment by moment. Then only the freedom start from the first part or the psychological part will come to the second part also. In the living part, that in the external world alone, we cannot separate our, we cannot free from the second part. The second part we have to take in our hand. So in the second part itself, we have to have our freedom, we have to have our liberation. Then only we can feel we are all right. So if we think that we will be happy always, we will be in a good mood because of our meditation, because of our thinking or anything. If we think we are all right in the in the physical world itself, in the second part of the world itself, for the time being, it may be like that. But in course of time, it is a bondage. So as far as possible, as early as possible, we have to keep ourselves free from all the clutches. Even though clutches comes from the psychological world, we take the clutches for the external use, but as early as possible, we have to free from the clutches. Then only we will be free, we will be in liberation in the physical world, in the external world also.
Can I ask a question?
For example, for just a minute, you can.
Okay.
Lanier, you can say something in your own language, and afterwards you can question.
So, אז שרי בגבת בעצם דיבר על זה שהשורש של הבעיה של הסבל בעולם שלנו, זה הניסיון לאחוז בעולם הפנימי במשהו. זאת אומרת, נניח שיש לנו הרגשה טובה ועשינו מדיטציה וחשבנו חיובי ולא יודע מה, ויש לנו תחושה של שחרור, תחושה של הרפאיה בתוכנו. אם אנחנו מנסים להאחז בתחושה הזאת ולרצות שהיא תהיה שם כל הזמן, אז למעשה אנחנו עוצרים את הזרימה החופשית, את הזרימה הטבעית של הדברים. אנחנו יוצרים סבל לעצמנו. ואותו דבר נכון לגבי רגשות ומחשבות שהן שליליות. אם אנחנו מנסים לגרש אותם, אם אנחנו מנסים להתנגד אליהם, אם אנחנו מנסים לדחוף אותם החוצה, אז באותו אופן אנחנו בעצם מוצאים את הזרימה החופשית של הרגשות מרגע לרגע, את הזרימה החופשית של הנפש. אז לפי שרי בגבת, הבעיה היא לא מה שמופיע בנפש, אלא ההתייחסות שלנו למה שמופיע בנפש, שזה הרגשות, שזה ההתנגדות או האחיזה, ההתנגדות או האחיזה במה שקורה. זה דבר אחד. דבר שני, שרי בגבת גם דיבר על העניין של זה שהחלק השני של התודעה, הוא חילק את התודעה לשניים. החלק הראשון זה החלק הספונטני, זה החלק הטבעי, זה הרגשות, זה מה שאנחנו נולדים איתו. לזה הוא קורא החלק הראשון של התודעה. באיזשהו שלב מתפתח מגיל שנתיים וחצי ואילך, מתפתח החלק השני, שהוא למעשה האינטלקט, החלק שפועל בעולם וגם מנסה לפעול בעולם הפנימי, פועל בעולם החיצוני וגם... עכשיו, האינטלקט הזה, הוא מקבל את האנרגיה שלו מהחלק הראשון. זאת אומרת שאתה צריך את הרגשות, הם מקור האנרגיה שלך על מנת לפעול בעולם החיצוני. זאת אומרת, בוא ניקח דוגמה קורה משהו בעולם החיצוני שמכעיס אותך, אז הכעס הזה, זה האנרגיה שלך שדוחפת אותך לפעולה בעולם. איזה צורה הפעולה הזאת תלבש, זה כבר עניין של האינטליגנציה שלך ועניין של שיקול הדעת שלך. אבל הרגש עצמו נותן לך את האנרגיה לפעול בעולם החיצוני. אבל עוד נקודה ששרי בגבת מדגיש, זה שעל מנת שאתה תרגיש חופשי בתוך עצמך, החלק השני חייב להיות מסוגל להשתחרר בכל פעם, בכל רגע מחדש, ממה שהיה בעבר. זאת אומרת, היה רגש מסוים, הייתה מחשבה מסוימת, אם יש צורך, הוא משתמש באנרגיה הזאת על מנת לפעול, ואז משחרר אותה. משחרר את הרגש הזה, משחרר את המחשבה הזאת, על מנת לאפשר את הזרימה החופשית שהוא דיבר עליה. אוקיי? זהו. So I finished Sri Bagavath.
Okay. On this line, anybody a question?
Can I ask?
Okay.
Wait. I wanted to ask, I understand this liberation idea, and I think this is something in my life that I can do. Maybe not 100%, but it's all my life. I mean, the last 30 years at least, I practice this liberation. Not to get attached, not to want just the good feelings. I think this is something that I can do. At least I can practice it. At least life support this practicing in my life. And I think even that I proceed. But if I look at my external life, for example, wait, my son wake up. If I look at my external life, I don't have relationships, and I look at other people, they have partner, they have relationships, they have fun. And for me, it's all the thing is not happening. I have career, I have many things that happens, but I have things that don't happen. And then I think they don't happen because maybe I do something wrong, maybe because of my childhood, my difficult childhood, maybe I prevent myself from life. And it is because my inner world that maybe is not taken care deep enough. You understand? So I think maybe I don't have enough fun, I don't have relationships, things like this, that I see that other people have. Understand what I say? So I say, okay, maybe I'm liberated, more or less, but maybe I don't participate life enough. I mean, some of life I participate a lot. I'm out there, I'm working, I have big career, but some things don't happen. No matter what I do, how much liberated I will be, they are not happening. And sometimes I want them to happen. Sometimes I free, I don't care. I don't care. I like nothing is missing. And then the deep hole is opened and many things are I feel lack of things, that many things don't happen. Like sometimes I experience it like no problem, and sometimes big problem. And the problem is that I think maybe I prevent myself from life. I'm not out there enough. Don't dare to go there because I'm wounded.
Lanir, what is your question actually?
So Galit is saying that she can understand and appreciate what you're saying, and actually she has been doing what you're saying in the last 30 years, and she feels a progress in that line of liberation. But she says that in the outer life, she lacks certain things. And her difficulties lies in that she thinks that maybe because of her difficult childhood, she had a difficult time while she were a child with her parents and how they raised her. She said maybe the structure of her psychology prevents her from having let's say relationships. She is divorced now and she wants to have a relationship with somebody, but it's not happening for many years. And she's wondering if she has to do something active in the outside world. Sometimes she's content with her situation and she doesn't care about it. And sometimes she feels maybe she has to do something in order to participate more in life and achieve, let's say, for example, having a partner for life. So this is the question. גלית, מה השאלה בדיוק? במשפט אחד אבל.
רגע.
So here we may have some many experience in our life, in the past life, in the earlier childhood or anything. We may have many experience, may have many memories, but everything reflects unconsciously, but doesn't matter. But even though whatever unconsciously reflects upon our memory, upon our mind, it reflects and immediately it disappears. So after it's disappear alone, we take it into account. When we take it into account, we are having new kind of functioning of our mind. The first functioning is unconscious. The second functioning of our mind is conscious. We are conscious of something happening within our mind. Even though both are within our own mind, something happens unconsciously, and afterwards we recognize the happening consciously. So the conscious dealing with our mind is the second part. Unconscious dealing of something is the first part. In the first part, it happens and disappears. In the second part, we recognize it. So as far as possible, we have to make ourselves moment by moment new. We have to, we may take anything into hand, but in the next we have to free from the happening, free from the emotion. So the second part alone is in our hand. The first part, it is unconscious, happening and disappears. In the second part, we feel that we are having some emotion or anything, but in the second part itself, for a momentary, we should not keep hold of anything. So we acquire the habit keeping something by keeping some good emotion, feeling good enjoyment or anything. We develop a habit of keeping hold of something. So the keeping hold of something, the habit of keeping hold of something is the problem. So we have to shift on to other kind of pattern, that we have to free from everything. The freedom pattern, the pattern of freedom, the pattern of holding and the pattern of freedom. So the second part alone has to shift our pattern into the pattern of freedom, where we can take anything, but in the next moment we have to live from the emotion. But it happens unconsciously, and we recognize and we take in our hand. For example, we may have some fear or sorrow or anger, anything we can have, but in the next moment you have to be free from that thing. We have to move from other thing, so we have to free from that. So then only the third aspect alone is the action. The action part is the third action, third emotion, third part. In the third part, we have to do some work. Now, for that, we can make use of our emotion, feeling, or anything. But in the first part is unconscious part. The second part is the conscious part. In the conscious part itself, we can have keep ourselves something, and we can free within the pattern of freedom or pattern of keeping something. So only in the case of some good emotion, for example, if we have some happiness or some good emotion, we want to retain the intention to keep something alone is the bondage. So we have to shift to the second level, that is the freedom pattern. The freedom pattern, if the mind function in the freedom pattern, it takes anything, and in the next moment it will be free for itself. So we have to shift the conscious level to the freedom pattern. So that is important. And Lani, you can tell in your own language.
אז שרי בגבת אומר שלמעשה אנחנו בחלק השני, בחלק המודע, זה החלק שבו אנחנו בעצם, החלק של האינטלקט, שהוא או נאחז במה שיש בעולם הפנימי, או דוחה את מה שיש בעולם הפנימי. החלק הזה צריך לעבור מרוטינה של להיות כבול, בין אם זה באמצעות דחייה של מה שיש, או באמצעות היאחזות במה שיש, לפטרן, לתבנית של חופש, שבו הוא מעניק חופש מוחלט לכל מה שמופיע, מרגע לרגע, ולא משנה מה מופיע. בהודו יש דוגמה מאוד טובה לזה. אמרתי את זה הרבה פעמים, אבל מי שלא שמע את זה, אז בהודו איך תופסים קופים? הקופים שמים כד, שהוא בדיוק בגודל, שהפתח שלו בדיוק בגודל של היד של הקוף, ושמים בננה בפנים. ואז הקוף בא, והוא רוצה את הבננה, אז הוא מכניס את היד לתוך הכד, הכד כבד. עכשיו, הוא יכול לעזוב את הבננה ולהוציא את היד, אבל הוא לא עושה את זה, הוא ממשיך לאחוז את הבננה, ולכן הוא לא יכול להשתחרר מהכד, וככה הוא נלכד. ככה אנחנו, בדיוק אותו דבר קורה לנו בעולם הפנימי. אם אנחנו לא משחררים, לא עוזבים את העולם הפנימי לנפשו, זאת אומרת, לא נאחזים במה שנעים, ולא דוחים את מה שלא נעים, אז אנחנו כמו הקוף הזה, שלא רוצה לעזוב את הבננה, ולכן הוא נלכד. ושרי בגבət אומר, אנחנו חייבים לעבור ממוד של כבילה למוד של חופש, אוקיי? אז אנחנו, החלק היחיד שבתוכו אנחנו יכולים להחליט למעשה, זה החלק, קורא לו החלק השני, the consciousness, החלק המודע, שבו אנחנו מתחילים להבין שכל ניסיון שלנו לתמרן את העולם הפנימי לכאן או לכאן, כובל אותנו כמו שהבננה משאירה אותנו גבולים לכאן. Okay, Sri Bagavath, I explained as much as I can.
So I have a question, Sri Bagavath. So if I understand correctly what you said, that we need to learn how to get free. The second part of the intellectual, our conscious part, need to learn how to be free from the first part, which is the natural part, the whatever we feel. That's what you're saying? Yes?
No, the first part, it is beyond ourselves.
The first part is beyond ourselves, but the second part needs to learn how to be free from the first part?
No, not from the first part. In the second part, it takes the thing from the first part. So moment by moment, it has to be free, even though it is adopted the unconscious emotion into our hand. The next moment, we have to keep ourselves free. So we have to develop a freedom pattern of working. Moment by moment, a new thing alone you have to take. The old thing you have to put down. In this way, the second part, the conscious part alone has to keep itself free. So if it is a good thing, we want to retain. If it is a bad thing, naturally we will be free from that. But anyhow, if you understand the pattern of working, the liberated pattern, we have to keep everything fresh. The old one, we have to be free from the old one. We have to get the new one alone. But anyhow, the original is the first part, the unconscious part.
So how do you do that? How do you, I mean, this is what all the spiritual ways are suggesting. They're suggesting all those ways to be free from your what you feel, or get develop.
So here, no development. We have to understand. We have to understand. We should not keep anything with ourselves permanently. So that alone is the good understanding, that we need not keep anything in our conscious part.
So only this understanding will.
If you understand it, the correctness of this understanding, the understanding will help. We keep ourselves free from everything.
So there is no need to practice anything.
No practice, no practice.
Okay.
So the understanding, the correctness of this understanding. We think this alone is the good thing. We have to understand, we have to come to a conclusion that this alone is the good thing for the second part of that, the conscious part.
Okay. And if still you see that the pattern is still reoccurring, then what? It's the
So
of holding
if
and rejecting.
if you hold anything, then the holding something, that means whenever we think, well, if it is a good thing, good emotion or enjoyment, we want to hold something. So that alone creates a pattern, holding something. So in this way, we begin to hold some bad thing alone, fear, sorrow. In the way we are having accustomed to the holding something. So if you are free from everything, everything will come and go. Just like a living river, the water will be fresh at each and every moment. So in this way, our mind will be fresh each and every moment. So it will be, then only it is suitable for ourselves and suitable for the external work also.
So you say only the understanding can make it happen? Only
The understanding is enough. If you understand this is the correct function of our second part, then naturally it will come.
and if it doesn't?
No practice. So practice means then only we are having some pattern. So for beginners, anything is good. Every practice, every work, everything is good. Afterwards, the understanding alone is the correct thing that we have to come.
I have a question for this.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay, I went out because my son woke up. So what you say is, if I try to understand this, to let go of, okay, let me explain it like this. I understand what you say, but sometimes parts in me want things in the world, things that don't happen. All my life, they don't happen. No matter what I do, they don't happen. For example, all my relationship with men, they cause a lot of suffer. And today I'm alone for a long time. No problem. When I'm liberated, no problem. Whatever is happening in life is okay. What I have, what I don't have is okay. But sometimes I have the idea that I want things in life. And these thoughts make me struggle with life, with my inner world. Difficult to accept. You say, I have to accept that I don't have a relationship, that I have problems with my daughter. She's not very well. She's not very well. She suffers. So it's like you say, let go of the idea that things should be different, things in the outer world. Because if I want not to interfere my inner world, for me, it's also not to interfere the outer world, to accept that I don't have relationship with men, that my daughter has problems in life, to accept. If I will accept that.
So the
I
inner
can,
world is,
what?
have you completed your question?
The question is, for me to accept the inner world is to let go of everything that I want to happen in life different from what is happening. לניר, אתה יכול להסביר? כאילו, אני לא יודעת אם אמרתי את זה טוב.
Sri Bagavath, you understood what she said?
You may also you may also tell what's the exact question.
So she is saying that for her, to do what you are saying, accept the inner world, for her it means that she also has to accept the outer world, like the situation that she has difficulties with her daughter, or the situation that she is not finding a suitable partner for life. So she makes a very direct link between accepting the inner world and accepting the outer world.
So here, anyhow, we have to face the outer situation, outer world. So how we have to deal with the outer world? For each and every moment, the outer world reflects within ourselves, and it unconsciously reflects within our mind. So that is the unconscious part. Even though it is mind, it is unconscious part. According to the situation, some unconscious reflection, unconscious reaction comes within the inner part, the unconscious part. So afterwards, the conscious part comes into action. The conscious part takes the emotion in our hand, what is happening unconsciously, takes the action in our, takes the emotion in our hand. For the time being, we can take. Then we can decide what we have to do in the external world. For that, if the unconscious reaction we take into account, then only we can act. But at the same time, when we are in the conscious part, we should not be possessed by the unconscious actions, unconscious emotion, unconscious situations. It will be like that. For the time being, it may take, but in the next moment, we will be free from the unconscious reactions. And we have to consciously decide what we have to do in the external situation. That we have to come to conclusion consciously. So in the conscious moment, we have to be free from. For that, we can make use of the unconscious emotion. Unconscious emotion already come and gone. It is also moment by moment, it will come like that. But for making use of to the external world, we can take the unconscious emotion into account. And after that, we have to take a suitable action related to the external world. But anyhow, in the conscious part of our mind also, we have to keep ourselves moment by moment free. We should not be possessed by any unconscious emotion, unconscious situation. So we have to keep ourselves in the liberated pattern. If we keep ourselves in the liberated pattern, we can manage the situation very easily. The situation may be bad or good. We can have appropriate action. We can suitable action in the external world, external situation.
לניר, אתה יכול להסביר?
כן, שרי בגבת חוזר על מה שהוא תמיד אומר, שלמעשה העולם החיצוני, בעולם החיצוני את צריכה לפעול. כראות עינייך, ומה שאת חושבת שצריך לעשות. אם צריך לפעול, אם צריך יש בעל, אם את רוצה להשיג מערכת יחסים טובה, אז בבקשה, אפשר לפעול.
רגע, לניר, פה יש לי שאלה. תגיד לו שאני מרגישה שיש גבול למה שאני יכולה לפעול. ואני חושבת שהגבול הזה הוא יכול להיות בגלל שבעולם הפנימי שלי דברים לא מטופלים כמו שצריך.
בסדר. בואו נגיד את זה שרי בגבת.
אני אגיד לו, אוקיי. שרי בגבת, I wanted to say that I feel that there is a limit for what I can act in the outer world. There is a limit. I cannot do it because of my inner world. My inner world prevents me for acting in the outer world. And then I have the idea that I have to deal with my inner world. You know, therapy, I mean, all my life I did therapy. I don't see that it helps, but I feel that there is a limit. You say, go act in the outer world. But I feel that I'm like, איך אומרים לניר נכה?
Cripple.
Crippled. Sometimes I feel that I'm crippled. I cannot act in the outer world like I cannot. It's a nice idea. Go there, do what you can do. Yes, I do what I can do, but there is a limit to what I can do. And I think the limit is because of my inner world, of the wound, of karma. I don't know. Of lack of grace. I don't know. And if you tell me, no problem, accept everything. Okay, no problem. I can accept everything. What I have, what I don't have, I'm free. Okay. But the question always comes, maybe there is a problem in my life. Maybe I'm preventing myself from life. Maybe I sit alone under the tree, nothing is missing, but I'm not involved with people enough. Sometimes I don't have the need. Sometimes I feel that there is a problem, but you understand? I feel that there is a limit to what I can do in the outer world.
But in the inner world itself, there are two parts. The one is unconscious, the one is conscious. So in the conscious part alone, what you have to do? The unconscious part, it is beyond ourselves. It happens on its own. But in the conscious part of the inner world, that alone it is in our hand, where we have to keep ourselves in a freedom pattern. It is in our hand, we can make ourselves in a freedom pattern, or we are possessed by the unconscious emotions. That is in our hand. So we have to keep ourselves in the freedom pattern. If we are able to keep ourselves in a freedom pattern, then we can face the situation very easily and in a suitable way. That is the essence of our thing. And we may continue this discussion in the next week also, because this is the crux of our teaching, and we can discuss and continue. And Lanir, you can explain in your own way.
אוקיי. אז בעצם זה יהיה הסיום שלנו, רק להגיד כמה מילים. בעצם שרי בגבת אומר שהדבר המרכזי הוא שאנחנו נשמור על עצמנו חופשיים מבחינה פנימית. לגבי כל מה שקורה בעולם ה-unconscious, כאילו כל מה שעברת למשל גלית בילדות, זה לא בידיים שלך. מה שיש לך זה רק את מה שעולה למודע כרגע. אז הוא אומר שהבחירה שלך היא להיות חופשית ממה שקורה באותו רגע, ברגע הנתון, לא כל מה שעברת, אין לך גישה לשם, את לא יכולה להגיע לשם, את לא יכולה לשנות את זה.
או מה שאני רוצה גם כן, מה שאני רוצה בחיים, גם על זה אין לי שליטה בעצם.
אז מה שהוא אומר זה שאם את יכולה לשמור על המוד הזה של חופש מבחינה פנימית, אז את משפרת בהרבה את הסיכויים שלך לפעול בצורה מיטיבה בעולם החיצוני, גם לגבי הדברים שאת רוצה. כל הפוקוס שלך צריך להיות על איך אני חופשייה בעולם הפנימי, ממה שעולה כרגע, לא להחזיק שום דבר, לא לסלק שום דבר, פשוט להיות חופשייה ממנו. היום הוא דווקא הדגיש את זה שמה שיותר חשוב זה בעצם שכל הבעיות נובעות לא מהדחייה של דברים, אלא דווקא מהאחזות. אם אתה רוצה לאחוז בדברים הטובים, זה הבעיה. האחזות שלנו בדברים הטובים, זה מבחינתו, היום הדגיש את זה, זה שורש הבעיה. אז ברגע שאתה משחרר את העולם הפנימי, אז נוצרת תנועה טבעית של הנפש מרגע לרגע, החופש הזה מאפשר לך לפעול יותר טוב בעולם החיצוני. זהו, אני מצטער, כי הוא רוצה לסיים.
No, thank you, I understand, thank you. Thank you.
Namaste, Sri Bagavath, thank you very, very much.
Thank
תודה
you.
רבה.
Thank you.
תודה רבה.
Bye.
תודה.
Bye. The next.
ביי, תודה.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
ביי. ביי.
ביי, תודה, תודה לניר,
ביי.
תודה,
תודה.
תודה. Thank you.
תודה.
Okay, I'll stop recording now.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.